In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 secrets to outsmart a narcissist and win. So stick around, I've got a lot of good stuff for you today. Hey friends, Tammy M. Joyce here, empowerment life coach, creator of the Freedom Class and the Ascension Class. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. Please take a second to say hello and introduce yourself in the comments section below. And if you're back, of course, welcome back. Thanks for showing up and for tuning in. Either way, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. So let's talk about how to outsmart a narcissist and win. First and foremost, you've got to know your audience. Know who it is that you're dealing with. Now, what I mean by that is, if you're looking to outsmart someone who lands on the spectrum of destructive narcissism, it's vital that you recognize that you're dealing with someone who is not only empathy impaired, but also to some degree, if not to a large degree, lacking in conscience. And people who are lacking in empathy and conscience are capable of going to lengths that you and I cannot even conceive of in order to be seen in whatever light they want to be seen. Whether that be to be seen as being right, winning the right fight, to get their way, or to be seen as the victim to your villain, no matter how appalling or abusive they themselves have behaved. In other words, to be seen in whatever light necessary to move their own personal agenda forward. And that agenda may be as simple as making you look like the crazy, abusive one in the relationship, or making you out to be the liar while they lie to and about you to anyone who will listen. So you have to remember that when dealing with a destructive narcissist, they are going to be willing to go to lengths that you and I could never even fathom going to. So know up front that this is never going to be a level playing field because you're not dealing with someone who's playing by the rules of what is fair and decent. Never mind kind, compassionate, or loving. Narcissistic people don't have integrity and they lie with tremendous ease. And if you're a target in any way, shape, or form, for any reason at all bets will be off and they'll do and say whatever it takes. Furthermore, know in advance that you're dealing with someone who is fully self-absorbed, completely wrapped up in self. Also, you're dealing with someone who will be operating from a delusional sense of entitlement. That's right. For example, narcissists are people who feel entitled to hurt you and then blame you for the hurt they cause. That's quite the delusional sense of entitlement, no? So again, know your audience, know who and what it is that you're dealing with, and adjust your expectations, your own behavior, and your own attitudes accordingly. Now, I always say it's best to limit our exposure once we determine that the person we're dealing with lands on the spectrum of destructive narcissism. We're dealing with a narcissist, right? They've shown you that they're toxic, manipulative, and deceptive. They've made it clear that they approach life through a distorted lens, a distorted perception of reality. Again, they're lacking in empathy, they're lacking in conscience, they have a tendency to lie, maybe even pathologically. Once we establish that this is actually who and what we're dealing with, no matter who they are or where they land in our lives, limiting our exposure to people of this ilk is always going to be our best bet. Now, I get that's not always easy or convenient, and maybe not even entirely possible immediately. Nonetheless, zero contact will be the best gift you can give yourself if you're able to do that. But when that's not an option or not an option in the immediate, what do? Well, start with practicing detachment. And it takes practice. This is where you make a conscious decision to disengage and step back emotionally and energetically. So you're no longer reacting to every provocation. You're no longer affected by every passive-aggressive maneuver or outright dig for that matter. Practicing detachment means you make a conscious decision to give the narcissist zero narcissistic supply. In other words, zero reaction, non-resistant, non-reactivity. Now, is this easy to do? No. Can you learn to do it? And does it get easier with practice? Absolutely. And the gray rock method can be a very helpful method to use in this regard. And if you want to learn more about the gray rock method, you can watch this video here. But what it fundamentally boils down to is you want to be as uninteresting and uninterested as possible, as non-reactive as you can be. Destructive narcissists are looking for a reaction. They require what is known as narcissistic supply via your emotional reactivity. So know in advance that they're looking to provoke a reaction from you. They're looking for attention, positive or negative, it doesn't matter. Any attention will do. And the more flatline you can be with them, the more boring, uninteresting, and uninterested you can be in any sort of exchange with a narcissist, the better off you'll be. Again, being able to do this requires practice, and it also requires putting your ego aside. That's right. Keep your ego out of it. And if that's hard for you to do, if we're in there with our own ego, trying to get our needs met, trying to be seen, heard, or understood by people who are fully, fundamentally, and constitutionally incapable of seeing us, hearing us, or validating us in any real, genuine, or authentic way, then keeping our ego out of it and going gray rock with an individual like this is the short route to outsmarting them, because we're giving them absolutely nothing to plug into. And this strategy works well, in particular when they're saying something with deliberate intent to provoke us, to trigger us, to hurt us, or to throw us off balance in any way. That behavior, by the way, is classic. It's called narcissistic baiting, which fundamentally means that they're looking to incite a reaction from you, and the less you play into that, the less you give them that reaction, the better off you'll be. They want you on the defensive. They want you dancing and performing for them like a puppet on strings. Whatever you do, don't do that. Don't take the bait. And if you want to learn more about narcissistic baiting, you can watch this video here. But the point being, be boring, be uninteresting and uninterested, flatline. No fun at all for an emotional manipulator. Not a good source of emotional and energetic supply for a toxic individual who's looking to get their sick needs met by deliberately antagonizing and hurting you. So whatever you do, hold that line so that you can remain in a place of non-reactivity and stop giving your power away. And again, I know this is easier said than done. It takes practice for sure. And also, in my experience, it gets a whole lot easier to maintain this posture with consistency when we've done our deep inner work. And if you need help with that, you're likely an excellent candidate for one of my coaching programs. There's a link in the description below this video where you can apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one consultation with either myself or a member of my team. But the point being, when we've done our healing and recovery work, our deep inner work, it becomes a whole lot harder to destabilize us, to throw us off balance. It becomes a whole lot harder to bait us into a high voltage reactive tizzy when we're not walking around a great big huge gaping wound easy to poke at. And there's things that we can do for ourselves that will certainly make this a lot easier, not least of which being our own personal internal healing and recovery work. But whatever it takes for you to be able to remain in that place of non-reactivity so that you're not defending yourself, you're not explaining yourself, you're not justifying anything to anyone. Remember, narcissistic people want you on the back foot. They want you on the defensive. They enjoy watching you dance and struggle. They enjoy siphoning your vital life force energy. Make no mistake, that is exactly what they're up to. So do yourself a favor and don't go there. And do whatever you need to do to get yourself to a place where you're actually able to not go there. And what I mean by that is we have to get ourselves to the point where we love ourselves enough that we refuse to play. We're no longer willing to roll around in the dirt with narcissistic people, no matter how hard they try to suck us into that toxic vortex. So walking into a situation where you have to engage with someone who lands on the spectrum of destructive narcissism, if you really want to outsmart them, it requires embodying a certain attitude. Loving myself enough to be willing and able to put my ego aside and give up the need, or maybe even more aptly put, heal the addiction to external validation and approval. Like I said earlier, easier said than done for sure, but simple one-word short responses such as, oh, okay, I understand, and silence, not another word. Communicating in this fashion with a detached, non-egoic, non-reactive, self-loving, and self-respecting posture lets the narcissist know, I'm not playing. I'm not playing your game. When you walk into this type of a dynamic with the mindset that says, you're entitled to be who you are and I'm entitled to be who I am. And quite frankly, I'm pretty happy with who I am. Not one shred of my self-worth, my self-esteem, or my value is reliant on you, your acceptance, or your approval of me. When you're coming from this place, the narcissist is fully powerless over you. So that is the energy that you want to embody. You want to be coming from in order to outsmart a narcissist. Even though you may be a work in progress, you can embody this posture, this attitude, an attitude that says, I'm good. And if you have work to do to get there, then you need to be doing that work. You want to give yourself the gift of peace and freedom and personal power that comes from doing your healing and recovery work. But making a conscious decision that says, I'm not going to play, and silently, energetically, with confidence, with self-compassion, self-love, dignity, and integrity, with self-respect, for that matter. A decision that says, I am not going to go there with you. Now, last but not least, be smart. When you're dealing with someone who lands on the spectrum of destructive narcissism, don't give them any information. Learn to shut your mouth. Share less. The less words, the better. Hold your cards very close to your chest. Information for these people is ammunition. And if they can use it against you at a certain point, especially if they decide for any reason that you're a target, rest assured they are going to use your disclosures against you. And they'll twist and distort and lie by omission for maximum effect and impact. That's right. They're not just going to use the information in the real light of day. Rather, it'll be truth out of context. It'll be lying by omission. It'll be great, big, huge pieces of the story missing. It'll be a whole distorted story and narrative. And the reality is they're probably going to do this anyway, narcissists being the way they are, especially once they realize that they can't manipulate, dominate, or dupe you, never mind control you. And the truth is, you can't control that. You can't control what they will or will not say and to whom, so don't lose any sleep over it. You simply have to accept and relinquish that which you are unable to control. And what a narcissist is going to say about you, my friend, is something that you absolutely cannot control. But what you can control is how much information you give these people. So remember, with narcissists, information is ammunition. Less is always more. Learn to hold your cards close to your chest. And in addition, in as much as you are able, avoid inflicting narcissistic injury. It's just not worth it. Putting your hand up to be the target of someone who lands on the spectrum of destructive narcissism just invites unnecessary pain, chaos, drama, and trauma into your life. So if you have the ability to just zip it and not make that sarcastic remark or push them to the point where you're unnecessarily inflicting narcissistic injury, no matter how right you may be, you'll be far better off. The bottom line is, when it comes to outsmarting a destructive narcissist, it's about getting yourself to a place where you can be really detached, doing the inner work necessary to get yourself to an emotional, psychological, and energetic place within yourself, within your own container, your own energetic force field, where you can remain calm, cool, collected, detached, and bulletproof to a large degree. Now, what that is absolutely no fun whatsoever for a destructive narcissist. When you're coming from that place, you become absolutely no fun to play with. And when you're no fun to play with, you not only outsmart the narcissist, but you win. It really is that simple. Always strive to walk away from an interaction with a narcissist not having won the right fight, not having had the last word, not having finally been seen, heard, and understood, or validated, or approved of, because that's never going to happen. Your goal is to walk away with your own sense of self-worth, dignity, integrity, and self-respect intact. Again, detached, smart, leaving your ego out of it, unfazed, empowered, and bulletproof. And you can do this. It's time now. And with that, I'm going to call it a wrap. But don't stop now. I have close to 200 more videos right here on YouTube for you to watch to help you better understand the detrimental effects of narcissistic abuse, and more importantly, learn what you need to do to heal from the abuse so you can start living your best life in peace, confidence, freedom, and abundance. And if you want to go deeper with me, go to tammymcoaching.com and learn about my unique, tried and true process garnered over decades of experience, and learn how you can become my client.